All right. This I'm going to call something like John's live writing take two. I tried live writing once before. I can't remember what I did exactly. I did it for like 2 hours and wrote almost nothing. So I'm going to try to do that this time because it worked out great. So it's a bit of an experiment here. I know some people do, and I want to see how it goes. So what I have here is the blog post I'm currently working on, and we'll see that in a minute by the video program. I am taking the first 7 paragraphs of Replay by Ken Grimwood, considered the greatest novel of all time, and I'm mimicking that. I'm imitating it in a different story with a guy called Tom. I think I came up with a working title, but I can't remember what it is. Something like Tom in the Darkness or something like that. It's interesting. I have no idea where it's going. I'm mostly style, so I've written out for 6 paragraphs in part of their blog post. I'm working on that 7th paragraph now. So what I'm going to work on for, I'm not sure how, 15, 20 minutes, something like that, and I'm going to record it. And so that goes. And I might even publish this on the blog. Last time I tried, I didn't publish it on the blog. I don't know exactly why, but let's see how this goes. So the video should not be blocking. I try to put it out of the way. And hopefully my audio and everything is showing up. I ran 5 different tests, and I'm still not sure if it's working well. And this is a picture of John Henry, because I had a work reference in here, and working on the railroad seems like hard work. So I figured John Henry would be a cool picture to put in there. And what we have here is basically my little intro. And I was saying here that I do believe these exercises are changing my style. And the last short story I wrote, which was my first foray into dark fantasy and horror, it was about the baptism of Hannibal. I could feel when I was going to write a piece that I had different options as far as styling. And I believe some of these things I'm learning from Ken Grimwood, who's a dead guy, right? I'm learning from a dead guy. So that it's kind of impressive. It's kind of cool. I'm learning writing style from him. I could feel changing into some of the different ways he stylizes things. So these are the first 7 paragraphs of Replay by Ken Grimwood. It's Jeff Winston was on the phone with when he died. We need, she had said, and he never heard her say just what it was they needed, because something seemed to slam against his chest, crushing the breath out of him. The phone fell from his hand and cracked the glass paperweight on his desk. Just the week before, she'd said something similar. Had said, "Do you know what we need, Jeff?" And there'd been a pause. Not infinite, not final, like this mortal pause, but a palpable interim nonetheless. He'd been sitting at the kitchen table in what Linda liked to call the breakfast nook, although it wasn't really a separate space at all, just a little formica table with 2 chairs placed awkwardly between the left side of the refrigerator and the front of the clothes dryer. Linda had been chopping onions at the counter when she said it, and maybe the tears at the corner of her eyes were what had set him thinking, had lent her question more import than she had intended. "Do you know what we need, Jeff?" And he was supposed to say, "What's that, hun?" Was supposed to say it distractedly and without interest as he read Hugh Sidey's column about the presidency in Time. But Jeff wasn't distracted. He didn't give a damn about Sidey's ramblings. He was in fact more focused and aware than he had been in a long, long time. So he didn't say anything at all for several moments. He just stared at the false tears in Linda's eyes and thought about the things they needed, he and she. They needed to get away, for starters. Needed to get on a plane going someplace warm and lush. Jamaica, perhaps, or Barbados. They hadn't had a real vacation since that long-planned but somehow disappointing tour of Europe 5 years ago. Jeff didn't count their annual Florida trips to see his parents in Orlando and Linda's family in Boca Raton. Those were visits to an ever-receding past, nothing more. No, what they needed was a week, a month, on some decadently foreign island, making love on endless beaches, and at night the sound of reggae music in the air like the smell of hot red flowers. A decent house would be nice, too. Maybe one of those stately homes on Upper Mountain Road in Montclair that they'd driven past so many wistful Sundays. Or a place in White Plains, a 12-room two-door on Ridgeway Avenue near the golf courses. Not that he'd want to take up golf. It just seemed that all those lazy expanses of green, with names like Maple Moor and Westchester Hills, would make for more pleasant surroundings than did the on-ramps to the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway and the into LaGuardia. It's good writing. It's good writing. I really like it, obviously. So adapting it is a challenge. It's definitely trying. It's fun, engaging. So these are my first 6 paragraphs here. Tom Brooks was reading the newspaper when the lights went out. Terror in Downtown, he was reading. And he never got to read what the terror was, because something crackled outside. The light bulb flashed and burst above his head. The newspaper fell from his hands as hot glass rained down around him in the dark. Just yesterday, something similar had happened. There had been a flash. Not darkness, not total, not permanent like this. Not a flicker, but a flicker nonetheless. He'd been standing in front of the fireplace, what he liked to call the although it wasn't so impressive as that sounded. Just a little metal grate within a simple stone encasement that was set in an awkward position between the living room and just left of the entranceway. Tom had been staring into the flames when it happened, and maybe the light from the fire was what started his mind turning, had lent the occurrence more import than it necessitated. Kurz-t-t-puzz-ta. He was supposed to check the breakers, was supposed to call the power company, ask them annoyed when the power was going to be back on. But Tom wasn't annoyed. He didn't give a damn about the power. He was in fact more calm and aware than he had been in a long, long time. So he didn't do anything at all for several moments. He just stared into the darkness and thought about terror. He could still remember feeling something else, feeling like he could enjoy today and look forward to tomorrow. Comfort, perhaps, or even happiness. Light and heat whenever you wanted it. Movies, much music to listen to. He hadn't watched a movie since that anticipated but somehow disappointing historical piece 2 years ago. Tom didn't count the weekly trips he had to make into town for official party films. Those were mandatory, nothing more. No, what he wanted was 2 hours, 3, with a melodramatic thriller or a romantic comedy, laughing and eating popcorn with extra butter, knowing that everything would turn out all right in the end. So I think it's pretty decent. It's really weird copying someone else's style and trying to make it into a different story and sound good, like a reflection. I haven't really seen anyone do it, although I did base the idea for this off writing exercises from Benjamin Franklin. So what I'm going to do now is I need to be able to look at that 7th paragraph from Grimwood while I'm trying to make mine. So I'm going to put that back in here, not in bold. Let's take another look at this 7th paragraph from Grimwood. That's what I put in there. All right, paste that in there. All right, and now I shall begin after that one. So let's get a feel for. Remember what's happening in the Grimwood story. I have to remember what's happening in my Tom Brooks story, and then I have to try to reflect this paragraph in a different story, but with the same style, in a story that I have no doing because I have no particular plan or anything. I don't think a time travel story would work out like Grimwood's, so I don't really have too much of a plan as far as that's concerned moving forward. But we reflect on the 6th paragraph from what I wrote here. All right, and then the 7th paragraph from Grimwood. Something else that would be nice too. Right, so he's thinking about Tom Brooks is thinking about going to the movies and enjoying those, just as Grimwood had Jeff Winston thinking about the vacation. And then he thinks about that a house would be nice too, and Tom Brooks thinks about movies, and then he thinks about something else that would be nice too. Right? Hot shower. Hot shower. Oh man, I love showers. They're one of the best sensual experiences ever. So I really hot showers. You basically need electricity for the water pump, and you need electricity or propane to heat hot water and a hot water heater, so you can really have a shower. But he relates. So Grimwood, when he's talking about Jeff Winston here, he's talking about a decent house would be nice too, and he's relating it to a place. And then he goes on about that place. If I had Tom Brooks talk about a hot shower, what's he going to relate that to? Maybe other hot stuff, but you could drink hot tea even if you didn't have electricity. Just heat it up on a fire. Basically anything hot would be a hot shower, mostly because of the water pump issue, which we kind of make up for. So Tom Brooks is daydreaming about stuff that he wants. He wants a nice movie, and should we go with something else? Electricity based? Maybe not. I'm not sure where I'm going. It seems like it's obviously going towards a dystopia. Maybe a car. Maybe like a drive somewhere. A blank would be nice too. That's really what I need. That's really what I need. A hot shower would be nice too. A car ride would be nice too. What do we do? What do we do for entertainment? A hockey game would be nice too. Oh, it could be like a sporting guy, like a hockey game, a football game, something like that. But even in dystopias, they usually have some sort of sports. They might just turn more into sports. Mm. Dang it, I don't see how I can make the hot shower thing work and really build it up into a paragraph like he has it here. Oh man. Each paragraph I do in this way, in this exercise, seems to get hard for me to puzzle out. So the beginning ones didn't take so long just to come up with the idea of how I could reflect it. But now they are taking longer. I could go with something to drink. People really enjoy their drinks. I'm not huge into alcoholic drinks, though. Um, like a decent cup of coffee would be nice too. Maybe one of the. I think I might have some here, even though I don't drink coffee. But hey, all right. So a decent. I guess stick with food driven here because I ended it with like popcorn and stuff last time. Maybe one of those mocha cappuccinos. I don't know if I've ever spelled the word cappuccino before. I don't think I've ever written it. Cappuccino. One of those mocha cappuccino. That he used to get on a lazy Sunday at the coffee shop slash. We're going to put slash word. A decent cup of coffee would be nice too. That you get on a lazy Sunday at the coffee shop / bookstore. I should have a name for the places, because I'm going to have to come up with names for towns. And I could have mentioned that earlier. Hmm. It's just an exercise. Let's just use some names of towns around here. Yeah, let's just use Whitehall, Montague. A decent cup of coffee would be nice too. Maybe one big cappuccinos. Come on, I'll check out here. Cappuccinos. I used to get on a lazy Sunday at the coffee shop / bookstore in Montague. Okay. It's alright. It's alright. A decent cup of coffee would be nice too. Maybe one of those mocha cappuccinos that I used to get on a lazy Sunday at the coffee shop / bookstore in Montague. I guess we're going with food items. Or a. I want to go with like a sweet. Like a sweet. Gosh dang it. There's a sweet. I'm actually thinking of an Italian thing. Can't remember what it is. Ah! Yeah, let's go with trip. Or a trip to a. Yeah, I don't like the way trip to the chocolate shop. Cannoli, that's what I was thinking of. Jeez. I don't think that's something I've ever written either. Gosh darn you, Italian spelling. Doesn't seem like it should be that hard, but no. A whole pack of them from that sweet shop in Grand Haven. Gosh dang it, because he ends with golf and then he goes into several lines about golf and then compares that surrounding to his own currently. How do I make that work? Or cannoli, a whole pack of them from the sweet shop in Grand Haven. But now, how do I go into a thing about Grand Haven or the sweet shop? Not that he wanted to go to Grand Haven. Well, that doesn't sound cool. Then why does he just say he wanted to go to Grand Haven? Doesn't make any sense. Golf courses. Sweet shop. Okay, I could still do a place. I could have him eating it somewhere. Maybe one else. Or you could take it. Gosh dang it. Gosh dang it. Or he could take it. Or he could take it. I could drive down to Grand Haven and drink it, looking at the people, looking at the beach, looking at the water, looking at the lake, looking at the channel, drinking, walking along the channel. Or I could drive down to Grand Haven and drink it walking along the channel. Not that he particularly wanted to walk. Okay. Maybe. Maybe. I wanted to walk. Press. Now we're on to something. Now we have to describe his environment. All right, so let me read this paragraph. A decent cup of coffee would be nice too. Maybe one of those mocha cappuccinos that he used to get on a lazy Sunday at the coffee shop. A Sunday, we need something there. Sunday afternoon at the coffee shop slash. I'm not sure if that's works. A decent cup of coffee would be nice too. Maybe one of those mocha cappuccinos that he used to get on a lazy Sunday afternoon at the coffee shop slash bookstore in Montague. Or he could drive down to Grand Haven and drink it walking along the channel. Not that he particularly wanted to walk the channel. It just seemed that all those rolling waves, cresting like ever rising and ever receding mountains, would make for a more pleasant surrounding than. Now we're on to something. Now I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I like the direction I went here. Ever receding. See, they have that dash in there. They hyphen that word out. Look it. He had a hyphen word up here too. That right. You didn't hyphen on ramp. And I'm gonna hyphen receding. So nice. That's a real mirror image there. Make for more pleasant surrounding than. So now we have to describe kind of his environment. Which I know he's in like a dark house a little bit outside of some sort of small town because the power's out. Or present surrounding than. Should I bring him back? This lead like into the present? Like should I bring back the broken light raining down on him, the dark house, or just the general environment? Grimwood just does kind of a really general environment. Just the road, the airport. More pleasant surroundings, general environment than. An empty and decayed road. That's horrible. Alright. Make for a more pleasant surrounding than empty road and what? Make for a more pleasant surrounding than an empty road. Maybe that needs to be plural too. Would make for more pleasant surroundings. Alright, there we go. Would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road. Dark woods, empty fields, dusty road, abandoned cars. That sounds very dystopia. I like it. Would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road and abandoned than an empty road lined with abandoned cars. Ooh, that would be an extension of that. Empty road lined with abandoned cars. Would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road lined with abandoned cars. And that sounds decent. Not bad. Would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road lined with abandoned cars and not really making too much progress there, but some. So empty road lined with abandoned cars and a dark house. Should I keep it outside though? Because it appears outside. Channels outside. Empty road lined with abandoned cars outside. Then I go dark house. Would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road lined with abandoned cars and a dark house. Make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road line. I don't like it, but I can't think of anything better. Make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road lined with abandoned cars and a dark house. I don't mind it. but I'm not like, ooh, that's really good. It sounds decent. It would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road lined with abandoned cars and a dark house. It's the more times I read it, I'm not sure if just because I'm getting used to it, like eating a food you don't like until you like it, or it's because it's actually pretty good. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it. All right. Sound fairly decent. Let's put my 7 graphs together and see how it sounds. It's weird that we say things like that, but that is a normal way to say it. It's a reasonable way to say that, even though it doesn't literally make sense. All right, I think that sounds fairly decent. Spelled fairly wrong. Let's put my 7 paragraphs together and see how sounds. See how. I was gonna say it sounds, but it should be they because I use paragraphs. And see how they sound. See how they sound. All right, let's put my 7 paragraphs together and see how they sound. Good. Ugh, glad we made it through that. Tom Brooks. Oh, I copied again. Okay, cool. I had nothing to copy, so I didn't cover it up. Good. So let's see how these 7 paragraphs sound. Tom Brooks was reading the newspaper when the lights went out. Terror in downtown, he was reading, and he never got to read what the terror was, because something crackled outside. The light bulb flashed and burst above his head. The newspaper fell from his hands as hot glass rained down around him in the dark. Just yesterday, something similar had happened. There had been a flash, not darkness, not total, not permanent like this, but a flicker nonetheless. He'd been standing in front of the fireplace, what he liked to call the hearth. Although it wasn't so impressive as that sounded, just a little metal grate within a simple stone encasement that was set in an awkward position between the left and just left of the entranceway. Tom had been staring into the flames when it happened, and maybe the light from the fire was what started his mind turning, had lent the occurrence more import than it necessitated. He was supposed to go check the breakers, was supposed to call the power company, ask them in an annoyed tone when the power was going to be back on. But Tom wasn't annoyed. He didn't give a damn about the power. He was in fact more calm and aware than he had been in a long, long time. So he didn't do anything at all for once. He just stared into the darkness and thought about terror. He could still remember feeling something else. Feeling like he could enjoy today and look forward to tomorrow. Comfort, perhaps, or even happiness. Light and heat whenever you wanted it. Movies to watch and music to listen to. He hadn't watched a movie since that much anticipated but somehow disappointing historical piece 2 years ago. Tom didn't count the weekly trips he had to make into town for the official party of films. Those were mandatory, nothing more. What he wanted was 2 hours, 3, with a melodramatic thriller or a romantic comedy, laughing and eating popcorn with extra butter, knowing that everything would turn out all right in the end. A decent cup of coffee would be nice too, maybe one of those mocha cappuccinos that he used to get on a lazy Sunday afternoon at the coffee shop / bookstore in Montague. Or he could drive down to Grand Haven and drink it walking along the channel. Not that he particularly wanted to walk the channel. It just seemed that all of those rolling waves, cresting like ever-rising and ever-receding mountains, would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road lined with abandoned cars and a dark house. Yeah. To read something out loud and think about rewriting it at the same time. It's almost impossible for me to read my own writing and not be thinking about how I could have done it differently too. It's really hard because there's stuff up here. He'd still remember feeling There has to be a fairly long pause there, and I just have one comma. Something else. Feeling like he could enjoy the day and look forward to tomorrow. And then I use a dash there. I'm not sure if I like that or if I like that one and I want a dash back there. I almost need an ellipses here. He could still remember feeling, get out of here. He could still remember feeling something else. Feeling like he could enjoy today and look forward to tomorrow. Comfort, perhaps, or even happiness. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that better or worse or same. I'm not sure. All right, let's leave that. Let's look at the last one again. Last paragraph. A decent cup of coffee would be nice too. Maybe one of those mocha cappuccinos that I used to get on a lazy Sunday afternoon at the coffee slash. Dang it. That I used to get on a lazy Sunday afternoon at the coffee shop slash bookstore in Montague. I'm not sure if I like the slash or don't like it. It's kind of unusual. I could definitely change it, but I kind of like saying slash like that because that is how I write it. I write coffee shop slash bookstore, but in this way you're saying it. So get on a lazy Sunday afternoon at the coffee shop slash bookstore in Montague. And I do use slash verbally sometimes, not a lot. Or he could drive down to Grand Haven and drink it walking along the channel. Not that he particularly wanted to walk the channel. It just seemed that all of those rolling waves, cresting like ever-rising and ever-receding mountains, like tiny, I'm going to say tiny, cresting like tiny and ever-receding mountains, would make for more pleasant surroundings than an empty road lined with abandoned cars and a dark house. Save. Be careful of that. I should really not just be saving these on my blog too. I should have them backed up somewhere, and I really don't. Alright, I made a change in paragraph 6 and 7. I took out a comma and added an ellipses. Spelled that right. Ellipse. Ooh, I'm not sure how to properly write that. I should just add a ellipse. Yeah, I know I'm going to say it like this. This is the way I would verb. And add an ellipses in paragraph 6, and I add the word time in this line of paragraph 7. This is such an interesting exercise. It pushes my ability, and I like it. Yeah, I like it. And my next writing. Oh man, I have a meeting to go to that I should be leaving for right now. So I have to get this. Gosh dang it. That should link automatically to jeffreyalexandermartin.com. There we go. Alright, join me in my next writing adventure and join on my next. I don't know recommendations of Grammarly. It seems to have more British grammar than American grammar, but I check it out. Definitely look at the stuff. Join me on my next writing adventure at jeffreyalexandermartin.com. On has more of an adventure feel to it. I've been using in, I think, in my next adventure. Join me on my next adventure. I like on. It's more adventurous. It sounds like you're going outdoors or something. All right. Anyways. That finishes this up. I am going to conclude this here, my second try at, at live writing. Interesting. I couldn't see anything other than my screen, so I just knew I was being recorded instead of the last time I allowed my picture to be where I could see it, and I think maybe that was a little distracting. I'm not sure, but I think it went pretty well. It worked out pretty good. It was enjoyable. I might try it again. I'll probably, and maybe I'll try it again. We'll see how it goes. But I do believe I'm going to put this on the blog and in a few days out again on my own blog and kind of see how I like it then after some time to process it, and I've pulled away so I have a little distance. Anyways, until next time, feel free to join me on my next writing adventure at jeffreyalexandermartin.com.